Today, most people work in SMEs, and they need to train and to keep specializing in order to respond to the emerging needs that such SMEs have in the market, which is not easy, especially if you just have 5 people working in your company. So clusters come to solve this problem and to connect different SMEs in order to provide the leverage that dozens or even hundreds of SMEs can create when working together. But still, the problem of connecting the specialized people, the people with experience, to share in such SME clusters is something that is not trivial. And the Learning Layers project wants to solve this by providing a modular and flexible technology to unlock the peer production of these SMEs and scaffold the learning among the people inside such clusters. Learning Layers wants to leverage the recent advances in contextualized learning to provide a meaningful learning context when people interact with people, digital and physical artifacts for the informal learning to make such learning faster and more effective.
I think for me it's the potential what it can do. When at the moment we have information systems, we have quality control systems, but they're not focused on real learning. And for me, real learning is about the tacit knowledge that goes on in organisations, particularly about people wanting opinion, people wanting validation of their actions. And present systems really don't do that. And for me, the potential is to create something which can be useful to help people to learn in the real life workplace.
The big elephant in the room, we've got this saying in England where there's an elephant in the room and no one talks about it, is what we call informal learning, or learning in informal context, if you want to use that phrase. There's people talk about training in the workplace, but a lot of the people who actually learn is by talking to other people, by looking at resources in their own time and under their own steam, as it were. So what Layers looks at is that, how can we tap into that amazing activity that's been going on for years and years in the workplace, and how can we help it with technology in areas where they've been reluctant to use technology to help them.
Informal learning, I think the biggest obstacle we have found so far is that everybody is agreeing that informal learning is very useful, it's very natural, especially in workplace learning situations, but if it comes to transferring or translating knowledge to other areas, it becomes very fuzzy. So how to do it? So there are no clear procedures defined, and even worse, there's no information system supporting this. And to tackle this issue or challenge, Layers was created.
It goes well beyond the individual as the individual employee, for example, or individual boss, supervisor learning. It goes even beyond a team of people learning together, working together, and taking decisions together or executing decisions and things like that. It involves the entire organization, even beyond there, because in these days, a lot of knowledge is actually pouring on to employees. A lot of new standards are out there, new guidelines that you need to follow, innovation coming around from other enterprises, from partners, from wherever, legal consequences that you need to think about. And in this rich and vivid network of institutions and organizations, actually individual people still need to make sense of what's happening, what's going on. And there's a lot of new technology around that people came to use, are customized to use, are actually very willing to use, because people do that, for example, using mobile phones, smartphones, tablets and things like that, even in their leisure time. So people are very familiar with that technology and do use it already very much and are engaged in it. And I think we can make this use of technology in the context of networks a lot more effective, and that's why I think that Layers is really well positioned in making a difference in different domains, like in our case in healthcare and construction. And I'm really excited about the similarities that are in between, that we see in this respect, which means several institutions taking place of knowledge development and individuals using innovative technology in order to make sense of their environments. So there's an amazing similarity going on between those two different domains that we think if we can solve problems there, we can probably make it anywhere.
This is important because mobile technologies become more and more important, and these mobile technologies also change work practices in companies. So we observed it in our empirical studies that lots of things change, and the old-fashioned way of learning is not able to attract people and also to work suitable. So new forms of learning are required when are suitable for these new work practices.
One of the key issues we have is there's a lot of information and it changes very rapidly.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we want is we always want better patient outcomes. So that means the information that the healthcare people have has to be right, has to be timely, has to be relevant. And our big problem is getting that there. So if there's a method by which we can do that, that'll improve all our lives, it'll make all of it better. But the key important thing is it'll mean we'll get better patient outcomes, so the healthcare will be better.
That the main benefits of layers for end users is that they offer a system to lifelong learning, I would say, that it's embedded in your everyday practices. So in that sense, it's kind of a recognition of that learning and exchanging information among your peers, kind of, I would say, informal learning, is something that is valuable and that it kind of repercutes in your everyday practice. I would say it's kind of, I think that the main point is that it's recognizing that expertise is something that is built and that it's not built in an individual level or alone, but you need a network, you need to collaborate, to change communication, and I think that it's something that at some point it requires a special attention to these areas. Otherwise, it becomes tacit knowledge that no one is kind of specifically taking care of.
Yeah, see, for the last 20 years, we've been developing what we've now come to call technology-enhanced learning. And there's a lot of potential power of using technology to spread learning. The problem is, as it's been really implemented, learning has copied what I'd call existing paradigms of education. So the classroom becomes the virtual classroom, the book becomes the e-book, etc. We've not moved beyond that really. And in the course of doing that, what we've tended to do is to give more technology for learning to the people who already got it. So most technology has gone to university students and increasingly to school students. But we've got thousands of people out there who have no real access to learning opportunities at the moment, and increasingly who need it. Now what Layers is trying to do is to go into small and medium enterprises, which is one of the places we know there has been very, very limited take-up of technology for learning, and to move technology-enhanced learning out there. And of course, in doing that, we've had to rethink that paradigm. The classroom is of limited use if we're talking about learning in small and medium enterprises. Formal learning is of limited use. We know from repeated surveys there's little take-up of formal learning in small and medium enterprises. So we're being forced to look at new pedagogic approaches, and that means looking at informal learning. How can we use technology to support informal learning by thousands of people in small and medium enterprises who have got no access to any educational opportunities at the moment, but need and want those opportunities.
Layers is important to businesses because it'll teach them how to learn faster, attract the best talents, and innovate for their own good. It's good for educational institutions because they will be challenged and be coupled closer to the businesses and the business needs, so that the curriculums will be more adapted to the needs of the industry that they are serving. For the research institutions, it's important because we have this multifaceted, multi-stakeholder, broad dialogue that will make us more
knowledge about how technology can change the way we learn and how we learn faster and how we learn the right things faster.
A project like Learning Layers brings the experience-based learning that somehow might be falling between the chairs in the formal qualifying and formal continuing professional development systems aside, and particularly there are gaps in using new media, gaps in communication between different parties involved in their processes that can be brought into discussion, and many process improvement steps, many improvement steps in cooperation with different partners can be taken up, and solutions can be found thanks to the creative spaces of Learning Layers project.